Today we are going to discuss discard feature in C Sharp. It was introduced in C Sharp 7.0 and later on in coming versions it get matured. Today we will see its use cases. First of all, let me list down the criteria or use cases where we want to use them. First of all, method returning multiple values, which means method can return multiple values in the form of triple, and we want to use only few of those values. We can use discard there. Next use case is method without params, so we can ignore those parameters. We want object destructuring. We want to get or consume some of the properties of an object, but we want to discard the remaining properties. We can use discard here. And the last use case I want to share is switch statement ignore case, so we can use discard in switch statements as well. So let's start with example 1, that how we can use discard with method returning multiple values. Before starting the practical, why we need discard? We want to make our program memory efficient. We don't want to hold unnecessary variables during the running life cycle of the application. So we want to discard those variables straight away. Okay, let's get back to the example 1. For that one, let me add a method in discard feature class. I can make a public method which is returning a tuple, and the password is, let's say, some password. All right, so the method is ready. Let's go back to the calling class, and here we can use that method discard feature dot get details, and get details is returning two values as a tuple. So what we can do is we can create a var variable here, and we can say first is username, second is password, like this. And this way we fetch both the variables, but let's assume we just want the username, so we can discard the password like this. So the password will be discarded from the memory and will not hold that space without any reason. That was the first case. Second one is method without params. Again, let's jump into the class discard feature class we have created, and let's create a method here, public method without params, and here we can add out string username and out string password, and we have to assign values to both username somehow and password because they are out params. Like this, we can say this is void method, and when we want to consume it, we can use it like discard feature dot method without params. We can say out string username and out string password. Okay, I think the variable is already there, so we can change the variable name. Okay, so in this case we have both out params there. What we can do if we don't want to use the password, we can just ignore it by adding underscore here. So part of the password value will be ignored and we will get the username straight away. Third example is from destructuring. So for that one, let's create a separate class. We can use class or record. So let's say we just create a record, public record user, and in the same line let's add two properties like this. And again, for this example, let's say now we create an object of that user. We can say var user 1 is equal to new user, and we can give the name Osman and password some random string here. And now we want to destruct that object. For that one, let's say I want to use the name and the password value from user 1, right? And if I want to ignore the password, or let's say in that case user, I can just replace that variable with underscore, so that username value will be discarded from the program as well as from the program memory. And the last use case I want to share is the switch statement. For that one, I will share it like, let's create a scenario where we need a switch statement. So let me again add a method with switch, and let's say we have an integer number, and based on that number we want to create a switch. Var value is equal to I number, and next I want to create a switch around this one like this, and I want that switch. All right, so we want to apply switch around that number, and let's say if we type 1, we have value 1. This is first value, and otherwise I can, this is not first value. So in the case of else, in the case of default, I can use discard. Whatever value we have in this number, we just want this string. For only one, we want this string. Right, so this is how we can use switch expression along with discard to implement our cases. So if we call this method from the program class, we can say discard feature dot method with switch, and we can pass required number, and we can see once we debug that program that for one we will get this string, for any other value we will get this string. So these are the 4 main use cases that discard handles and help us with our programming to ignore those values which are not required in our program, to make our program memory and memory efficient. If you do have any other points regarding discard, do let me know in the comments, and keep watching and keep coding.